Now, 5 years ago, Newzroom Afrika brought you the story of Kokwani Modjadji Nkuna and the people of Giyani, who were still waiting for clean running water despite years and years of promises. Back then, the 4 billion rand Giyani bulk water project had been stalled by mismanagement and corruption, leaving communities to rely on wheelbarrows and communal taps. The infrastructure meant to change their lives still lay unused. Since then, new funds have been allocated and efforts have been made to restart the project with a renewed commitment to deliver water directly to homes. Has anything really changed? Newzroom Afrika's Sipha Kema returns to Giyani to reconnect with Kokwani Modjadji Nkuna and other villagers who continue to wait and hope that this long, difficult journey will finally come to an end.
Swi na mati. Swi na mati.
Timhaka ta mati ta hi hluphekisa hi ku hi khale hi kha hi lavana na mati.
A ku na cinca, a ku cincangi. A ku cincangi nchumu.
Wo fana na mehe la kaya ni boheka ku ni fe ni vhiki na vhiki ni va ni khome 100 rand.
I don't think there shall come a time la sizothi sinawo amanzi. When that day comes, maybe I will be dead.
In Giyani lies Makeba village, as it stands as a testament to both progress and unfulfilled promises. We return to Makeba, one of 46 villages still waiting for water, despite the revitalization of the Giyani bulk water project. Originally launched in 2014 to bring water to 55 villages, the project stalled due to mismanagement, vandalism, and corruption, eventually ballooning the budget from 502 million rands to 5.5 billion rands. Following its revival, a shift from communal taps to household connections brought hope. 9 villages now have running water. Infrastructure upgrades have been made, yet challenges such as drought have caused delays that continue to hinder the progress. With a new completion target set for March 2025, Makeba's residents are left questioning when their long wait will finally end.
We first arrived in Makeba village in Giyani in 2019, witnessing firsthand the daily struggle residents faced for something as basic as clean water. We met the people of the village, especially one resilient soul, Kokwani Modjadji Nkuna, who fought daily just to get clean water.
Nuvuka ngichanye, nateka nkukulu, ni kukula, ni teka tihunyi ni veketela, makumu ni teka chechisa, chela mati ni teleka. Eviya vila, ni ndla tiya, every day. Mara loko ni karhele ni fane ngati. Swa tika hi ku ni kurile mara hi ku a ni ri ni tshama ni ri nexe na vatukulu va lavaya. Va mana swo va le Joni. Nan'we ma swi vona a ku na mati, ha hlupheka, vona ni timovha hi leti. Ti tele mati va ta ma kuma kwihi? Swigubugubu leswi nga laya hinkwaswo swi lava mati mara a ni ma swi vona ka a ya humi. Ene ya bava mati lama. Na tiya a ya endli. Loko yi endla tiya yi chela meleka, meleka wu ya le, mati ya le. Loko ku tele a ku talangi leswi. Loko ku tele hi tshama na va ma-1 yini hi karhi a tshamile kwale laha ku kelela mati. Loko i suki muke ya kaya a kaya yi ta fika makuma kwihi mati. Swi boha i tshama kwale hi dzima kuma. Hi share na tona hi ku a ku biyeletiwangi. Na tidonki a ku biyeletiwangi hi nwa na toho ti lava mati na toho ti ta ma kuma kwihi. Ti ta kwala ti ta nwa mati. Mara ati makume ku ani ti va ti nga ri na n'wini wa tona wa ku ti kangatelela a ti vekela laya ti chelela to fika ti nun'hwetela kwalaya a ya huma hi nkarhi wa Mandela mati hikuva a ni lava fambe va hi vekela swikrepe a ya huma mati a hi nga hlupheki hawa sweswiwani a ha ri na ku tshemba hi ku a hi le ku hluphekini sweswi hi mati a ha ri na ku tshemba mpfhuka loko luya a hi nyika mati a ti famberile.
Five years later, we're back to see what's changed. The government has built new reservoirs and installed taps across the village. But for Kokwani Nkuna, the promise of water remains unfulfilled.
Usathatha iwheelbarrow uhamba ngamanzi. Naphusha.
Usikupha siyi-1 or 2?
2, 3 anikoti. Nikota 2.
Back in 2019, when we met Kokwani Modjadji Nkuna, there was nothing but dry earth. Today, this tap sits waiting, a symbol of hope, but also of frustration. Kokwani Nkuna, frailer now than 5 years ago, still wonders if she'll live to see the water reach her home, a wish that's becoming more urgent as the years pass.
Mina ni hanya kahle lesiya loko n'we mi tili la loko mi ta la ni ve ni sala ni ndlayini ni khoma hi mavabya ni ri stroke xi ba voko leri xi ba nenge lowu swi ba voko leri xi ba nenge lowu.
For Kokwani Modjadji Nkuna, now 84, this tap means a heavy daily journey, her wheelbarrow loaded with containers as she searches for water. Age has made the trip harder, but like everyone here, she has no choice.
Mati iwo ya xanisaka hi se makuma kahle. Mati ya wona. Ni ma swi vona na n'we na kwala ka mutulu va vekerile xila la khono leliya laya na kwala va vekerile xihala hinkwako va vekerile mara a swi si va na mati swi si va na mati se hi ndlayini hi ya lomu ya humaka koho hi ya ka koho.
As we sit with Kokwani Modjadji, she reflects on a time when water flowed from communal taps, an era marked by hardship and struggle during the days of first Chief Minister of Gazankulu, Professor Ntwanwisi, a Bantustan created under apartheid South Africa. Those shared taps, a symbol of basic dignity, were once a lifeline in a community confined by oppression and neglect.
Mati a hi nwa mati ya kahle ya Ntsanwisi. Ma swi vona? A hi nwa mati ya kahle mara a ya ri ma swi vona xitarata loko xi te a va nga hi ngheniseli kaya ni a va veka la switaratini va ndla swikerepe a ni ri va ndla swikerepe va veka phayiphi hi sweswo va hlaya magoza ya ku ya laya va ya veka leyi va hlaya va ya veka leyi va hlaya a huka kwalaya a hi nga yi kule a hi nga yi kule ya Ntsanwisi hayi sweswi ya Mandela lawo mati na a hi ma voni na hi tiva ya Ntsanwisi.
Now, years later, as she gazes out at empty taps and the abandoned promises of running water, Kokwani Nkuna feels the weight of disappointment. The hopes that were built with the promise of restoring her dignity have dried up. For her, it's about more than just having water. It's about restoring a sense of dignity and experiencing something she has never seen in her 84 years of life: access to clean running water in her own yard.
Yako laya ku kusuhana na patu ku nga na block la vanhu va ka ku koho mati koho ya tele mati va ka koho mara Aya sifika lo mitini abasimangenisa mitini. Sena hina ku na kun'wana hi ka ku ko emitini kwala ku famba so hi ku ko la hi ka ku ko. A va si hi nghenisela la makaya.
In 2019, a communal tap was the only source of water in Makeba village. 5 years later, despite the new taps and reservoirs, it remains the same.
Meet Kokwani Modjadji, a familiar face from our last visit in 2019 at the communal tap. Now, 85 years old, she fondly remembers our last visit. With a playful smile, she recalls the reenactments she did for the camera, a light-hearted moment amidst the serious struggle for water.
natsundzuka ku ri mitile la mi kuma hi ri le matini le hi karhi hi bulela sweswi a mi ndisa swona la hi karhi hi bulela mati laya ivi mi ku ka loko mi ku ka mi ku mukhegula phusha kirivani kwalani hi vona ku ri wa swi kota na
5 years later, her story remains unchanged. She is still waiting for running water in her home. Kokwani Modjadji's life, like so many others, continues to revolve around the hope that one day the taps will finally bring water to their homes.
a ni ri loko u nga ri na mati laha kusuwani hi fanele ku xava hikuva ni ri ku na lomu hi nga ta ma kuma kona hi fanele ku xava fanele hi humesa ku mali hi xava hikuva ku na mati laha kusuwani a ya kona total a swi tirhi va fakile hinkwako lomu mari a ya swi tirhi ene a hi swi tivi ku ri ya tirha rini hi ta ma kuma rini endzhaku ka lembe leri nga hela loko va sungula ku tirha ntirho lowa mati va lava ku hi nghenisela mati endzhaku ka lembe leri nga hela leriya ri nga hela na rona va ri busy na reri va ha ri busy ene ra hela na rona va ta hi makumu.
We meet Nyeleti Nzobela, born and raised in Makeba, who also shares how the lack of running water continues to burden her community. She tells us that while the government has installed pipes and taps in their homes, they remain dry, leaving the villagers' struggle unresolved. Every week, she says, families are forced to spend at least 100 rand to buy water from local vendors, a cost that many can barely afford. For Nyeleti, the absence of water is not just an inconvenience, but a constant reminder of promises unfulfilled and the daily challenges her community must endure.
timhaka ta mati ta hi hluphekisa hi ku hi khale hi kha hi lavana na mati wo fana na sweswiwani va zama ku va nga hi vekelela tiphayiphi ta mati mara ke ni still mati ya koho a yi le ku humeni wo fana na mehe la kaya ni boheka ku ni feni vhiki na vhiki ni va ni khome 100 rand ende a swi simpulu hi ku tethiwa swigubugubu ni boheka ku humesa 100 rand and then ni boheka ku ni va ni tshama ni khomelile mali ende a ni le ku tirheni no ti tshamela na vana va mehe na vana va mantsongo na mukhegula.
Velcox Mabunda, a resident of Makeba, expresses the confusion and frustration felt by many in the village. He says the cycle of unfulfilled promises from different construction companies has left the community disillusioned. According to Mabunda, companies come claiming they will finally bring water, but none have delivered. He points out that the taps and pipes installed now are nothing new. For residents, it feels like a never-ending cycle with no clear end in sight.
We are just confused. Local, when it comes to water, because different constructions come in the name of giving us water, but none of them, I mean, none has given us water in short. Revoning the taps, contraction, it worked on the same things, viable these pipes, contract, if dealing, and then via pelaging, And then the other contract comes, it removes those ones, replace with theirs. And then it is the same thing every time. But no water since then. I don't even know for how many years. Ba epolla di pipe ba tsela tseding ba epolla di reservoirs ba tsela tseding. Every time that is the thing.
The frustration and confusion of Mageba's residents reflect the broader challenges of living without reliable water infrastructure. Yet, out of this struggle, a secondary economy has emerged. Water vendors stepping in to fill the gap left by broken promises. This informal market has become a lifeline for some, but adds financial burden to many, forcing families to spend on what should be a basic human right. The lack of running water has turned a necessity into a commodity, deepening the economic strain on the village.
Without running water, some locals have taken to selling water at 5 rand per container, a costly option for most. In 2024, residents in Mageba pay daily for water, an irony given the billions spent on a project that was supposed to deliver it for free. For Kokwani Nkuna, Kokwani Lydia and their neighbors, every drop of water carries a financial and emotional cost.
Nasweswi akucinjangi nchumu. Ho hlupheka hi mati ni nga ri na mikomba lamaya hi xava hi 5 rand. Xigubugubu 5 rand. Fanele u humesa 100 rand. 30 wa xigubugubu i 100 rand. Kwala hi hla 30 kwalaya wa xigubugubu hi humesa 100 rand. Ku ri ku xigubugubu i 5 rand. Every day. Na tolo i tolo. I tolo na ku chicha lama 100 rand. Me ni tirhisa yona ile ya pay. Ni tirhisa mali ya pay ni xava mati.
In Mageba, we meet Bless Mafungu, one of the village's water vendors. As we find him refilling a small tank he uses to store water, he tells us about the role he plays in the community. Mafungu says he helps those who can't reach the water pipe, delivering water directly to their homes. The water he sells doesn't come from communal taps, but from a pipe he accesses, and for many, that's their only option. Selling water has also been a financial lifeline for Mafungu. Unemployed for years, he says this small business has allowed him to provide for his family, putting bread on the table and covering basic needs.
Mati matekala. Ya ni ka vanhu lava ka va nga koteki ku ma fikelela. Even then ya va delivela ho va kota ku ma tirhisa hi ku laha hinkwako a ku na mati. Laha ni wa ku va just laha humaka ku va phayiphi. Even then pipe leyiwa hi yo hi kotaka ku hi pfuna vaakatiko va ka Mageba. teka mati aka yoho hi famba hi pfuna vaakatiko va ka Mageba loko va lava ku aka va ba switina va hlamba va sweka va ndla swilo hinkwaswo vona ku munhu a kota ku tlela a dyini mali ya ku ni xava mugayo ni kota ku xava xinkwa na yi kuma na kwala ka vo 5 years, more than 5 years. Nkarhi ni famba hi man'wana hi maka nkoveni nkarhi wo tala mati lama hi va sapota ku hi le nkoveni, then lama ya laniwa lamo dzunga hi lama hi kota ku va ba switina va kota ku va aka tiyindlu hi wona.
Despite relying on selling water for his livelihood, Blaise Mafungo says he wouldn't feel bad if the water project finally delivers on its promises. For him, the priority is access, ensuring every household, especially those who can't afford to buy water, has what they need. Mafungo acknowledges that his business fills a crucial gap, but he hopes for a future where his services are no longer needed because every villager can turn on a tap and access clean water without financial strain.
Awa, ku ta va ku ri swa kahle sweswo ku n'wana na n'wana a kota ku a kota ku a fikelela hi mati a nga ha spendi van'wana va na yona mali yo xava mati. Then loko mati ya fikini hinkwako laniwa n'wana na n'wana i ta kota ku a tikela mati ya yena laniwa, then hina hi ta vona business yin'wana leyi nga ta yi endla handle ka mati.
The selling and buying of water in these villages show how villagers have had to adapt, turning necessity into opportunity. But even as they fill a gap in the system, the larger question remains: when will this community finally see a lasting solution? We now shift our focus to the Mopani District Municipality. They explain the progress made so far and the challenges still standing in the way of ensuring clean water for all.
The Giyani Water Project, launched in 2014 with a budget now topping 4 billion rands, was supposed to bring water to 55 villages. But 9 years later, only 9 villages benefit. And for Mageba residents, this new infrastructure remains little more than a promise. The Mopani District Municipality estimates they've spent another 66 million recently. But here, the taps are still dry.
Yee, malembe wo ya tele ngopfu. Swa ku nga va ku ri malembe yo tani hi kwini ani sure mara ke ni khale ri ku hluphekeni mati ku kuna lembe rin'wana nga tsundzukeki ku ilembe rini va zamini va khegula u fana na xitarata lexa la kaya va ya va koka tiphayiphi le xikontirini va zama ku muti hi muti na hi nga hlengisana timali ya koka mati le xikontirini ku va ku ri na mati. I'm sure a ma humangi nkarhi wo tani hi kwini ma heta se mati meka sweswi tiphayiphi a ti le ku humeni ka mati.
The Mopani District Municipality is a key player in the Giyani Bulk Water Project, overseeing the reticulation work necessary to bring water directly to homes. Working alongside the Department of Water and Sanitation, the municipality is responsible for ensuring the infrastructure is put in place to serve the communities, many of which have waited years for a reliable water supply.
You'll remember at the initial stage of this project, the district municipality was not directly involved. We have been given certain tasks now. And I think from the 6th administration, when Minister Senzo was still at the department, they gave us certain tasks, which I think to a larger extent we have executed with some precision. If you go into the space of water reticulation, we were targeting 24 villages now as part of the first phase of this project. We are doing very well. We are closer to 90%. There are communities that are already getting water.
The Mopani District Municipality says it has made progress in the Giyani Bulk Water Project, particularly in the refurbishment of the water treatment works. This facility, now fully operational, has the capacity to produce 29 million litres of water per day. This development is part of the ongoing efforts to ensure a more reliable water supply for the communities affected by years of delays.
This project is implemented not only by ourselves. We have Lepelle Northern Water that is doing its part. We have the department through Construction North is their internal service provider. They are also doing some work. For instance, where we are now, Mageba, they are supposed to do some work in relation to the bulk pipeline from the water treatment works. It's called Pipeline D. And that in the main is the pipeline that is supposed to bring bulk water supply to the village here in Mageba. We have done our part in relation to, we had two contractors as a district municipality here. The first one was responsible for laying down the reticulation network. We had a second contractor who came in, he has done house connections. As I speak to you now, we have done at least 2,818 household connections. That is what we have done. And you'll know it was around 600 were just additional scope of work. We're not in the original scope of work, but we should be able to proceed and complete that kind of work.
Water scarcity in Mobani district isn't just a challenge, it's a reality shaping daily life. The Giyani Water Project was born out of this crisis, designed to deliver relief to drought-stricken communities like Mageba. But the region's limited water resources and the ongoing drought have complicated progress. Even basic solutions like drilling boreholes often yield little due to dry conditions.
We concede we are a drought-stricken or water-scarce district, if we should put it that way. Perhaps that will explain why the Giyani Water Project was conceptualized. It's because we do not have many water resources. As we speak now, if you go to the other village just next to this Mageba, we find it very difficult to even drill boreholes. We do have boreholes here in Mageba, in particular, 8 of them, which are supposed to provide water to this community. But we find that some of them have very low yield because of the drought that we have.
The frustration and confusion of Mageba's residents reflect the broader challenges of living without reliable water infrastructure. Yet, out of this struggle, a secondary economy has emerged. Water vendors stepping in to fill the gap left by broken promises. This informal market has become a lifeline for some, but adds financial burden to many, forcing families to spend on what should be a basic human right. The lack of running water has turned a necessity into a commodity, deepening the economic strain on the village.
Without running water, some locals have taken to selling water at 5 rand per container, a costly option for most. In 2024, residents in Mageba pay daily for water, an irony given the billions spent on a project that was supposed to deliver it for free. For Kokwani Nkuna, Kokwani Lydia and their neighbors, every drop of water carries a financial and emotional cost.
Na sweswi a ku na cinca a ku cincangi akucincangi nchumu ho hlupheka hi mati ni nga ri na mikomba hi lamaya hi xava hi 5 rand xigubugubu 5 rand fanele u humesa 100 rand 30 wa xigubugubu i 100 rand kwala hi hla 30 kwalaya wa xigubugubu hi humesa 100 rand ku ri ku xigubugubu i 5 rand every day na tolo i tolo.
Recent work by the Mopani District Municipality has brought some progress, yet challenges like drought and limited resources persist. While the local government defends its efforts, national oversight looms large. Questions about accountability, corruption, and escalating costs continue to dominate the narrative. We turn to national government's response to the mounting allegations and the need to completely overhaul the system. An endeavor that has pushed this project's price tag far beyond its original budget.
That project has been developed by a number of challenges, and they are well known, they are well written. And we chose to come in as government to support the municipality of the people of Mopani.
Apart from the much reported allegations of corruption within the Giyani bulk water project, one of the main complications to the project is the issue of water security. This has also caused delays with the restored project.
One of the matters that we've concluded now is the issue to say where water will come from, which is water security. We know that in the main, apart from groundwater, there's many groundwater projects, there boreholes that are all over. This has been the source of water for most of those communities over some time, and it's erratic. In certain instances, the boreholes are there, they are functional, they have not been vandalized, but some of the boreholes are not functional for two reasons. That area has sometimes extreme temperatures. It can be very, very hot. Therefore, the level of water in the aquifers, it starts to drop.
Since stepping in, the Department of Water and Sanitation says it has had to rework the original plan due to water scarcity.
The dam is very low. It's below 10% as we speak. In other words, we had to make an emergency intervention to change our plans, to bring the water, that there is a sufficient water in Nandoni Dam, situated in the Vembe district. It took us time. We missed the deadlines, but ultimately we were able to put a more than 45-kilometer pipeline. Now that pipeline does bring water to the Ntsami system so that at least we can augment that.
Beyond the challenges of drought and limited water resources, the Giyani bulk water project faced a deeper issue: poor planning and substandard work. The initial work done was insufficient to meet the water needs of the widespread communities. As a result, the national government was forced to step in and essentially restart the project from the ground up. The task now involves correcting past mistakes, addressing substandard infrastructure, and ensuring that all systems can deliver on the project's original promise.
While we thought that this matter is being resolved, then there was a planning issue that was not correct. Now that the water was there, the capacity to treat the water to be the right standard was not sufficient, because the treatment plant they have in Ntsami, it can only treat 30 million liters per day. But when we came in, that plant was performing below 20 megaliters, which is 20 million. At the very same time, there was another plant that they built at a close between 70 to 80 million that just cracked. Then we had to actually put additional money to say, now that the water is arriving, will you be able to treat it? We then worked with our Lepelle Northern Water Board, and then we worked with the department construction team where to upgrade and fix the capacity for this plant.
While drought and water scarcity have been ongoing challenges beyond anyone's control, the Giyani bulk water project's most significant setbacks stem from issues within. Before the project's recent revival, allegations of corruption and mismanagement plagued its progress. Constant stoppages disrupted construction, and critical supply chain processes were ignored. A special investigating unit report presented to Parliament exposed widespread irregularities in tender allocations. According to the SIU report, companies were unlawfully awarded contracts, inflating the project's budget from initial 90 million to over 4.1 billion rands. These systemic failures left communities waiting longer for basic water access.
Irregularities that were pointed out by the special investigation, there were proclamations that were done by President. That Northern Water, many decisions have been taken about certain employees, and some of them, as we speak right now, they've been indicted by the law enforcement agencies. Matters are in court. And some of the managers who used to work there, they are no longer there. They've been disciplined, and some of them, they've been dismissed. It's an action that has been taken. But when it comes to the issues of the entities, the companies that were appointed around a number of allegations that were being made, we have noted that the SIU is about to conclude its work. The preliminary reports were received, but then there are serious engineering calculations that must be done because there are disputes. Whether there was value for money, the technology that was being used is one of the biggest issues, but the intention is to enroll them within the courts.
After years of delays, mismanagement, and mounting frustration, the people of Giyani have endured an unimaginable struggle for a basic human right, access to water. Now, the Deputy Minister acknowledges the hardship they've faced and commits to rectifying the situation.
We'll do whatever it takes to get water to them. And we know that we have caused biggest inconveniences, and their rights to life and dignity, because water is life and sanitation is dignity, is being violated. But if we actually communicating with them, they will be in a position to see what's happening.
As the project sees yet another resurgence, leaders promise that soon taps will run. But for people like Kokwani, who once believed in this promise, there's now only the urgency of time. From Makeba, we've reminded that while infrastructure might be built, real change lies in making it work. Only then will the people of this village feel the impact of true progress.
Yena yo ti lavela ku va ku humeke ku for lembe leriwa loko va hi kha hi dya khisimusi mati ma va ma ri ku humeni ku hi vanhu lava hi nge le ku ti hluphekeleni hi mati.
Kokwani Modjadji Nkuna has a special message for President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Tong byela hi ku phela hi na mati a hlupheka hi mati ta makuma ku ni mati ya kwini ha n'wi byela hi n'wi chava hi munhu phela ni ri a n'wi byela hi ku mati a hi na wona ene famba hi ka lama ya ku va nga borha hi tiboro machini lomo dzungwa a swi endli na tiya a swi endli mati mpfhuka ku famba ya ntsan'wisi I ku a ni ri mati sweswi a hi swi tivi ku ya ta fika rini ene khale mara se munhu a ni to za munhu a fa a nga ma vonangi na mati yalamo munhu to hindza kwala misaveni mati a hi ma vonangi a ya kona se i ta phila njhani a hi phili kahle.
Most of the villagers, especially the elderly, have become hopeless. Will they ever see running water in their lifetime?
From what I have seen from that experience, I don't think there shall come a time la sizothi yes sinawo amanzi at least welcome at least finally. When that day comes, maybe I will be dead, and even my generation will be dead.
National government acknowledges the hardships faced by Giyani residents and vows to make water access a reality. The Deputy Minister's assurance to do whatever it takes is a crucial step in restoring not only water, but also dignity and trust.
Our return to Makeba village has revealed a story of undelivered promises and continued hardship Back in 2019, villagers relied solely on a single communal tap, pushing wheelbarrows just to gather enough water for their daily needs. Today, the village landscape has changed, with newly installed taps and reservoirs funded by the Giyani water project. But these taps remain empty, a testament of years of broken promises and halted progress. The Giyani water project, launched over a decade ago with billions invested, was meant to transform life here and in over 50 surrounding villages. Yet, we've learned from Kokwani Modjadji Nkuna and her neighbors that the wait continues. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Sipha Kema in Makeba, Giyani.